The Behind Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Do you have a little one and need a stroller for your next Disney vacation? Then Kingdom Strollers has the stroller for you. They've got a great variety of well-maintained strollers that fit any need. Go to their website and check out the City Mini Double, the City Mini Single, or any one of their wide selection of great strollers. They also have crib and bedding rental as well. During every one of my Disney vacations, I can't go a couple of minutes without seeing a happy young guest in a Kingdom stroller that is followed by a parent that knows they made a great stroller rental decision. Want to see how Kingdom Strollers can help you? Go to their website at kingdomstrollers.com. That's kingdomstrollers.com.
Howdy, partners. Did you hear that the folks over at Expedition Roasters have hit gold? Gold Rush Churro flavor, that is, in Prospector's Roast. It's Expedition Roasters' latest specialty coffee release. This creation arose when the Prospector's churros were left on the mountain blasting site. Next thing you know, there's a big thunder blast, and it's raining churro dust into the campfire coffee. Eureka! A churro snack and a coffee roast. Now brew up a cup and hold on, because this here's the wildest coffee in the wilderness. And don't forget to check out their huge selection of pop culture-themed coffees, teas, and gear. Behind the Ears podcast listeners, be sure to use code EARS20 for 20% off your first order with us. That's EARS20 at expeditionroasters.com. Brew your happy place.
Coming to you live from our studios on the East Coast and in the Midwest, it's the Behind Ears podcast, because everybody does Disney differently.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I am Uncle Danny. That is Mr. Chris. And we are Behind the Ears Podcast. We go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook and or YouTube. You can catch all our podcasts anywhere a podcast is caught. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. With that being said, welcome back to another show. It is Tuesday. It is the beginning of the week, and we are going to chat about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and our fantastic trip to Give Kids the World. Mr. Chris, how are you? It'd be better if you were unmuted.
I hit the button so I don't make noises while I share stuff out. And then, of course, I'm so quiet. It's muted. I wanted to say, first off, nice spectacles, Daddy-O.
Thanks, man.
Did you get a free quart of Brill cream while you're at it?
You're funny. I got to figure out how to turn the whiteness on the screen. I could just see the glare on my.
I was gonna say, could you move your face a little closer to the camera so I could read what's on your screen?
Yeah, see if we can catch it. See if we can read the comments off of it.
Actually, you have a weird pair of eyes. It's actually really pretty cool looking.
I'm trying to fix it.
I didn't know you wore glasses.
This is day 3.
like the first time of actually wearing glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That, you know what that is?
Old.
It's kind of getting older.
It's
Welcome
not
to the
fun.
club. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing great. Yeah, you're getting glasses. I went to the dentist because there's nothing like talking on a podcast right after you've had your teeth picked at with an iron hook, because that's always fun and exciting. That's right. Oh, well, hey, it's once every 6 months, right? You really,
Fair enough.
it is what it is, but you think he's done, and then
They pick away at more.
just anyway, I'm doing fine. So if you see me kind of just like this weird grin on my face, it's not because I'm like having to go to the bathroom, or if I'm upset, it looks like I'm upset or anything. No, it's just because, well, my mouth hurts. I'll be really honest. So I'm doing great. I hope everybody else is doing great today. We're really excited about today's show because this is like part 2, something of a grand finale, and talking about our trip. And to be very honest, it's one of those cases where you're probably going to hear some definite differences in our experiences, and just know that the two of us, experienced Galaxy's Edge, for example, at the same time. I did get to see it before he did, to a certain extent, and then got to experience it together, both like kind of in the morning-ish and then also in the evening. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I think this is going to cover a wide spectrum of people's opinions of what Galaxy's Edge might be or might be to them. So why don't we go ahead and set the stage for everybody? Our Galaxy's Edge day was Monday. And mind you, we were out a little bit on the later side. It was a long travel day for both of us on Sunday. So Monday, we're like, no, there's no way on God's green earth that we're getting up to make it for a 6 a.m. rope drop for extra early magic hours. Just wasn't going to happen. And, but for some reason, we still managed to, I don't know, it was about 7 o'clock, 7:30. We finally got out and started heading out there. And that was the part I think where I ran to catch the bus, which was a funny sight in of itself. I was really surprised, Danny, that you actually got up that early, especially for knowing that we were going to go to Galaxy's Edge first.
Yeah, I mean, waking up at the crack of dawn with the birds is not always the best thing to do, but when you're on vacation, you got an action-packed day ahead of you. And I don't like crowds, so I knew I had to wake up and get things rolling. So that's what I did. I was able to get it done.
Well, and before we actually went to Galaxy's Edge, Danny's like, let's go to Toy Story Land. Let's go see what Slinky Dog looks like. Let's go and do Midway Mania. We already talked about that. By the way, that's where Uncle Chris or Uncle Danny got his butt handed to him by Mr. Chris.
Yeah.
So we kind of went through the back entrance at that time, didn't we? No, we go through.
Yeah.
We kind of went through the backwards way, which there's no real wrong way to enter the land, but that's just kind of how it was, because there is an entrance between Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge, and it was fine. It worked out just fine and dandy. And but I'm kind of interested, Danny, in hearing your account of this first?
Everybody's asked me what I felt about it, and I will word it as the same way I've worded it to people in person. If you are a Star Wars fan, this will be amazing. For someone like me, I saw how immersive it was, but I was not taken back. Like I said, when we first got back, I still think Harry Potter wins. I still think Harry Potter is more immersive than Galaxy's Edge is. I do see the room to grow for Galaxy's Edge. I will say, food-wise, if you have any picky eaters in your party, Galaxy's Edge is not the place to go eat. You're gonna have to go somewhere else in the park, which is not that big of a deal. I mean, the park has plenty of great food options. The detail they put into it was absolutely stunning. It was a phenomenal space. The ride was pretty good. I wouldn't, when I got off a Flight of Passage, I was like, wow. I did not get off. What was the ride called?
That's Smuggler's Run.
Smuggler's Run. I did not get off being like, ooh, wow, that was great. I got off. I was like, all right, cool. Half-hour wait max for me in the future if I want to do it. I will say the park gets dramatically better at night.
Yeah, it looks dramatically better at night.
Yeah, definitely on the eyes looks a lot better at night. Outside of that, it was a lot of fun. I was happy to be there. I enjoyed myself. I could go another 5 years without stepping foot back in the park.
So let's talk a couple of things about some of the different experiences. We did a couple different things. One thing is that we did try the blue and green milk. And I will be the first person to tell you, blue milk wins over green milk. And neither one are, in my opinion, must-dos every trip. It's kind of like if you go there for the first time, it's something of a rite of passage to try. But I will not be the first person in line for it again. It was very different. A lot of people saw our live stream on it and saw the look on our faces. It just, for me, it just wasn't necessarily worth the money that you paid to enjoy it. I mean, it was like $8 for a cup of it. And yes, you can go ahead and share it because it's kind of on the rich side, and it was kind of on a sweet side as well. Just not, I enjoyed it, but it's just not one of those things I'm going to spend that kind of money on.
No, neither of them were that good. The food there wasn't that good. I've seen a lot of people be like, I have a picky toddler. Good luck. There is no like, oh, it's really chicken nuggets, but it's called something else. No, there is no basic food inside that land.
So here's the funny part. Danny and I went to go split a breakfast Ronto wrap. Now, really what that is that it's like a smoked sausage, egg, cheese on a pita and I found out it's peppercorn sauce, Danny, that sauce. And we thought it was a spiced mayo. Well, very, very close. It was a peppercorn sauce. And we split it, and it was not cheap for a wrap type of thing, but it was fine that we split it. I liked it, but that peppercorn sauce was a little bit of a surprise. Danny, I don't think you really cared for it as much.
Now I was hungry, so I put it down the gauntlet, but it was overpriced. I don't know. There was like no seating. It was just an odd setup. It's more of like a grab and go quick service type of thing.
That place is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we even did Oga's. Is that how you say it?
Yes,
Oga's that night. Once again, super cool, but you have 45 minutes to get in and out. It is a 2-drink maximum. And the next day after we were there, they raised their prices.
Oh, you're kidding. So it's even more than what we spent for 2 rounds of drinks for 4 and two appetizer things for 4
And the
of us?
food in there was horrendous. Those appetizer things were terrible. It was the only thing on the menu food wise.
Yeah.
It
It's
was horrendous.
the best way I could describe it. It was freeze dried veggie type things of sorts. I still don't know what some of them were.
No, it was
And
bad.
With
The
hummus.
drinks were good,
Oh, the drinks were really good.
but super expensive.
They were very expensive.
I mean, you're paying almost $18 for a mixed drink that's more expensive than New York City.
Okay, but I want to go ahead and say this as well. For comparison, they just did a soft opening, if not a full opening, for the new bar over at the Grand Floridian.
Okay.
Their mixed drinks prices are on par with what we spent over at Oga's Canteen.
Okay, but that's not good.
I'm not saying it's good. What I'm mainly using it as a point of reference that it's not just Galaxy's Edge that is priced. Just alcohol itself is very much high priced as it is. It's not just because it was in Galaxy's Edge.
I love Disney to death, but man, they make it hard to really like kick back and enjoy some things. Like that is expensive.
Okay, so full disclosure. Me and Danny, Chris, and his white stuff. 2 things of the appetizer stuff, which I thought was kind of interesting, but like Danny said, it certainly wasn't appetizing. It was just nibble stuff at that. And each one of us had 2 rounds of drinks, 45 minutes. With tip, because service was actually pretty good for a place that was so crowded. I will do it. And the cast member that served us was definitely in character. It was hilariously in character at times. It cost us $200 for drinks.
8 drinks and some trail mix.
And it was a great time. We sat right next to DJ Rex, which really the music there was really, really good. Loved it. Here's the thing. I would not call it disappointing, but I happen to like that sort of thing. I think the prices of the beverages was disappointing.
I take that head nod back. Disappointing, that's a harsh way of putting it. Underwhelming is a better word.
See, now that's Danny. I wouldn't call it underwhelming. I would just, if I do it again next time, I would do it a little bit differently. I loved the detail in this cantina because it felt like you were in a movie scene from one of the movies, which I know that Danny doesn't have that point of reference, and that's okay. But think about it. This is a great comparison. I've seen the movies. I like the movies. I'm a fan. I'm not a super fan. I'm not, I am not one of these people that can rattle off Star Wars trivia and stuff like that. That's more my son. I enjoyed it a lot, and I really enjoyed the ambiance. Danny, on the other hand, has never seen the movies, is not necessarily a fan for that reason. He was taking it at more face value, which I think there are still going to be guests that go in there that are going to fall into that category. And that's a very valid observation is what he's making. So, it's one of those things. I don't think here's the thing. I don't think they hyped it. I'm going off of what Beth is saying here. She's mentions, once again, it sounds disappointing. They hyped it up like Pandora. I don't know if they hyped it up like Pandora. I think they actually hyped it up more than Pandora in some cases. I mean, they were really pushing it for quite some time. But keep in mind, and there's people here that are like, describing what we spent and so on and so forth. Melissa says, sorry, that's more than some character experience dinners. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it was our choice to order the drinks. I mean, it wasn't like they hit the price or anything.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. Steph ordered the Best Pin Fizz, which had to be one of the most unique drinks that any of us ever saw.
I wouldn't touch that.
I would never drink it. But the funny part is she takes a sip of it and she's like, guys, I can't feel my tongue or my lips. We're like, what? She's like, yeah, I can't feel my tongue or my lips. I'm like, no. So I go, do you mind if I take a drink? And she goes, sure. And I went ahead and I just took just the tiniest sip, and the fuzz or foam on top of it did something where, sure enough, my lips where it touched started to turn numb. My tongue started to lose a little feeling to it. And I was like, wow, that is just bizarre. So it was really
creepy.
it was weird. George basically makes the comment, I've not seen one Star Wars movie, but the land is freaking amazing. And it's very detailed. I walked around on Sunday with Brian, who's a very avid contributor over on the community page. And he's obviously seen it, over and over again before I got there. And he pointed out some different things to me that I like. Wow, those are some very, very solid details. And it was a lot of fun actually walking around with him, because I felt like I was able to experience more in less time. And, I was able to not necessarily spend all day there absorbing details. He was kind of leading me to some of the spots to really focus on. And like you said, Danny, at night, that place I think it was gorgeous. It was lit up nicely. Yeah. It was just a totally different land. So I totally believe that.
Yeah. Listen, I hate to, be like, oh, Danny, because I really haven't liked a lot in the parks in the past couple of years. It was good. It's just, I think I was just expecting more. And I don't put that blame on Disney. I put that blame on me. My expectations were a lot higher. But like I said, I can value the people who enjoy Star Wars. I think will really appreciate it more than someone like me.
Yeah, I will definitely agree. I will say this though, when you and I both did Smuggler's Run, the cool part about it is that we ended up running into a couple listeners, and it was really, really cool because it was just kind of happenstance. So we ended up writing together. Now, Danny and I were pilots, which everybody says was kind of the coveted role, the spot that you had to have. Danny controlled left and right. I controlled up and down, or vice versa, one of the two. And the people that we met were gunners. Their job was to basically press buttons repeatedly in order to shoot things in front of us. The people in the back were engineers. I had no idea what they did. Well, the funniest thing throughout the entire ride was that Danny and I were not doing a very good job at being pilots. We really we goofed up a number of times, kept on hitting things, and when you run into something, you feel it. It's very interactive in a sense of the movements you feel are directly related to how you play the game. And all of a sudden, we hear from behind us, "You guys suck as pilots." They were just clear as day, and it was hilarious as all get out. I think I'm going to have a t-shirt made with that. And the funny part about it is, if you are with a group of people that are just going to have some fun with it like you can have a much better time at that ride than, say, if you went with a whole bunch of people that just were sticking to muds.
Yeah, I would agree.
To be there with a group of people that you're with and you're all going to have fun with it and you're going to razz each other about it afterwards, you could have a blast. If you're there with a bunch of people who don't have any idea of what they're doing, or don't want to interact or don't want to, talk or anything, and I understand it. I'm not saying everybody has to. I'm just kind of making a point. You're going to walk away with a totally different experience. It's interactive to the point where even your fellow travelers, so to speak, are going to, make a difference. One other thing. So unfortunately, Danny was streaming at this time. And unfortunately, the way that the mic was set up, couldn't really hear. Someone told me that if you talk to any of the cast members there, they all have a backstory. And we walked past Olga's canteen and there was a cast member standing there. And so I said to myself, okay, I'm going to just take a moment. I'm going to ask what her story is. So I walked up to her very politely and I introduced myself and I said, I was wondering if you can please tell me your story. And instantaneously, she was like, absolutely, I would love to tell you my story. And she told me her name and she told me where she was from in the galaxy. And then she proceeded to say that, you know, she has like a 45-minute commute on a transport, and it does take a while to get there. But she's like, Olga takes care of her and her fellow workers there at the canteen very, very well. And she went on for about 3 or 4 minutes, and it was so beautifully told. The story that she had was not just something that she rattled off. She told her story with feeling. And it ranks right up there with when Chris and I met with a cast member that I ran into during our lunch on Sunday. They are a part of the immersion experience. Every cast member there has a story. And that is one thing I would probably say was just absolutely fabulous. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it, and it made it beautiful. A story that was beautifully told. And I wanted to do it more. I wanted to talk to more cast members. Although I will say, I went to buy a pin and a few other little trinkets for my collection as well as my son. And the cast member behind the cast member, never mind. The dude behind the cash register, man. He and I ended up having a dialogue as if I were the traveler and he was a native, so to speak. And again, the interaction was pure immersion, and it really added to it. And if you get into that, it was absolutely amazing to see that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to Gregory here for a second. He says he's working on his backstory from when he goes, which I think is really cool. And also rising moons to you, my friend. Was there anyone Disney bounding in the land? The interesting part is that at this moment in time, I didn't see too much Disney bounding. I mean, there was some, but not a whole lot. And there certainly was not any cosplay going on because Disney's already said, they're not going to allow it. There were some really good outfits that people had there that was definitely Star Wars themed. It was really, really cool. I may have some pictures of some. I don't make it a habit to take pictures of people's outfits, no matter how cool they are, because I just don't want to seem creepy. But yeah, it was really cool, Gregory, and you and I need to get together for a coffee soon to talk a little bit more about it. It was really cool. And by the way, Trish also says, agreed, that they say that your ride for Smuggler's Road really depends on your pilot. Mary says it did not make her sick, and she gets sick easily, she says. And she's actually answering to what Wendy had to say about Star Tours makes me sick. Do you think Smuggler's Run would as well? Probably not, but Danny looked a little green after Star Tours, and I have to agree with him. It was a little bit of a rough ride, and I'm like, Danny, let's do Star Tours. It's only a 10-minute wait. Okay, Chris, I'll just follow your lead. We're going to have fun with this. Then afterwards, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. I
had to close my eyes a few times. It's not even so much the motion. I think it's the screen.
Probably for me, it's the motion.
Okay, so for me, I felt like it was more the screen.
Okay. I could see that. I don't know really what it was. For me, that ride just seemed rough. Maybe it was where we were sitting, because we were kind of sitting like
right in front.
Yeah, kind of right in front. I've seen that particular storyline before for Star Tours, but I sat all the way in the back row, and I felt like I had more control back there than I did up there. I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
it was weird, but I'm sorry, dude. I know you did not. You looked a little green after that, and yeah,
it's part of the game.
Part of the game. So, afterwards, what did we do afterwards? Oh, we went to Epcot to get some food.
Yes, and then we went back to MGM that night, and that's when we did Oga's. We already talked about. We got to ride Slinky at night.
I love Slinky at night.
The park is definitely a lot better at night.
That's right. This is your first time seeing Toy Story.
Night. Yeah. At night, yeah. Last time we only went during the day. Still very, very disappointed with the way Toy Story Land turned out, but it's a solid ride. I don't know what for you, Danny.
I'm trying to see if there was something else that Chris happened to say.
I was looking. It was a really, really cool. I like Slinky. Imagine if it actually went fast, because there is some crazy turns on that roller. Yeah, you move on that ride. I definitely liked it a lot more at night than during the day, but MGM's it's in the works. I still can't believe, and this is completely off topic, I still can't believe that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Rail is not open.
I can't believe
for using the same track. That to me is absurd. What is going on in there?
I'm actually somewhat disappointed because I thought it was supposed to be ready by now, like before Galaxy's Edge opened up, and now it's going to be opened up afterwards. Which actually, there's two questions that people wanted to ask you. First off, I'm going to pop up Laura's questions on the screen. She wanted you to elaborate a little bit more on why you were disappointed in Toy Story Land.
The size of it, no real gift shop. I know they put up that little gift shop off of Toy Story Mania now. Better than nothing. I literally said that to Chris. I'm like, well, I can't really complain too much because I complained there was nothing and they gave us something. To me, my opinion, still not enough. I know they are opening, the barbecue style restaurant. Once again, think they could have done way more inside for a restaurant than a backyard barbecue. But I get the motif of the whole scenario, so I get why instead of you can't throw a Pizza Planet restaurant in there when you're trying to do Andy's backyard. I thought just the size of the park of the land, and I think the aliens was it the alien
sauce
swirling sauces.
Yeah,
that was a waste. You should have done like the old school like Great Adventure pirate ship that rocks back and forth. They had that with the RC car. And why we didn't get that with the roller coaster would have made it 10 times better. Or there was enough space where you could have put that in there as well with the, swirling saucers or whatever. So that's why I thought it was a disappointment. What was the next question you had for me?
The question comes from Alex. And this is going back a little bit to you. Do you think the holidays coming up will change what people really think about Galaxy's Edge at Disney World? And I'll start off with that, and I'll let you go ahead and give your 2 cents. I think with the Rise of the Resistance opening, which I'd love to see firsthand, which is supposed to be a very immersive, very long attraction. It'll probably change. I think a lot more people are going to start going to Galaxy's Edge just because it's going to be more of the original plans being completed. I think that itself is going to be a contributing factor. The holidays are always busier, so that's going to be a contributing factor. Come January or February, whatever it is, they're going to also have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad open up. That's going to be a contributing factor. We're going to start seeing things turn for Hollywood studios. And, I don't think that we're going to, I just kind of have a prediction that a lot of people that have been saying that, things have been failures and this, that, and the other are probably going to eat their words once everything else is open.
All right. I'm going to go the complete opposite way. I'm going to disagree. I don't think we're going to see that big of an uptick due to the holidays outside of the normal holiday rush. Taking those numbers out, you're not going to have an influx of people coming during the holidays that already are coming just because of Star Wars. I think we'll slowly start to see an uptick as time goes on with the new attraction opening up. I also believe once they can get that hotel up, which is not a big footprint, I understand it's going to be very immersive inside, so I'm not saying it's going to be put up tomorrow, but I think if they can move at a steady pace, once that opens and everything is up and ready and all the bugs are taken out, we will see a big uptick. I will say this, and it was something that I was pondering for a while. And I know Chris kind of just touched on it, and, you know, people are killing Disneyland. And I'm not going to speak for Disneyland because I have not done the research into Disneyland like I have Disney World. The reason I believe we're not seeing, you know, there's a lot of contributing factors. The hotel's not open yet. The second major ride is not open yet. People were also didn't want to deal with the crowds, and you're seeing, you know, they didn't want to see an 8-hour wait. I think the biggest thing is, especially moving into 2020, people should not be so focused on numbers for 2020 because a lot of people are going to hold that trip off of for 2020. If they can only go every couple years and you are we'll call you a diehard or an avid Disney fan, you're going to push that trip off if you physically can to 2021. You know, 2021 is going to be the 50th anniversary. We'll get into that later because they have not officially announced anything, but I am assuming, if I know Disney like the way I do, I think I do, it is going to be a year-long celebration. You know, obviously October 2nd being a big hoopla, but I think when we will finally see what Star Wars really can do is when 2021 hits. That's when I want to see what Star Wars can really do, numbers wise. I think that'll be its first big test.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your thought process. I think it's a very valid thought process in the sense of people are going to want to be there for 2021. They're going to want to be there for the latter part of 2021. They're going to want to be there for, you know, everything.
What's
that's
the latter part of 2021?
Like October 1st, 2021. You know, the actual.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
So you're going to have people that are going to really want to be there more around this time, 2 years from now. And I don't disagree with your guess on that. I think it's actually a very good guess, to be honest with you. I do think I think it's going to be interesting for us to kind of see where this goes, not as a competition between us, of course, but just to see how this works out. Oh, you have a thought?
No, I just happen to gander because, you know, we'll get in this towards the tail end of this show, but me and Lindsay were talking honeymoon and big family vacation and everything, and we're holding off until 2021 for the celebration. So I had said to her, like, you know, oh, depending on when the anniversary falls, I might fly down just for the anniversary and come back home, and then we could do our big trip later. Just looked. This 50th anniversary falls on a Saturday. So not only are you having people going in, you're having locals. That place is going to be bananas. You're not going to be able, I guarantee you, so let's say the Magic Kingdom opens at 9 in the morning that day. I'm going to say by 11, they have to shut the park down for capacity.
Oh, I'm not going to take that bet. Although I will say this, we'll have to talk to Chris, our local communications director, to see that if he has enough room in his backyard for a couple of tents. Because, you know,
I already said for the 2020, if I went down or if we went down as a team, that is something you have to stay off site. I'm not paying Disney prices. And I understand why they would charge what they do. You just can't. You can't pay that price.
Yeah. Again, tent, you know. Yeah. I'm supposed to be getting a big tent in here any day now. So supposedly it's a 6-person tent.
Not with those snakes and alligators in Florida and sleeping outside. This is not the mountain. Nope.
Okay, I understand. Although that would be funny. Yeah, you know, you actually bring up a really good point about what next year is going to look like. And the problem of it is that people are going to say, oh my gosh, attendance is down, you know, woe is Disney, so many things are going wrong, and this, that, and the other. When the fact of the matter is that, you know, let's face it, you're right. Most people are going to wait until the celebration starts. And then someone posted up on the community page, and I can't remember exactly what was said, but it's almost like from 2021 for the next several years afterwards, there's different types of celebrations that are going to be happening. And it's going to be, quite monumental. So we'll have to see in how it works. It's kind of funny. Chris, actually, speaking of Chris, he says, depending on if the space restaurant is open by then, I think there's going to be a huge crowd down here spring of next year as SpaceX will be launching the first astronauts since the space shuttle from US soil. So I'm guessing a bunch of those people will be heading to Disney at the same time.
I don't think so. You really think that there's a big correlation?
I think when it comes to fandom, it's a little bit hard to tell. And I think, especially if you're talking about a bunch of people that are really heavy into the space program, especially if they haven't really been to Disney, that someone's going to probably start looking at things, to look at, like, space, the space restaurant, to go on mission space and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, who knows? You know what? If Disney doesn't make up some sort of package, somebody else probably will. That's what I'm kind of getting at. So,
all right. Well, let's move into the more meat and potatoes. One of the big reasons why we wanted to go down there and get our official tour of Give Kids the World. Why don't you start? Okay. Solely because I think it will hit home more if you are a parent than a single person, because it was heart-wrenching in certain aspects, but I could see in other people's eyes, and you can tell as a parent it was definitely it was that next step up. So that's why I'm going to let Chris lead off with it.
Okay, so let me go ahead and start off by saying that since we got back, I don't think that there has been a day that has gone by that I have not given significant thought to the time that we actually spent to Give Kids the World Village. And you'll kind of understand in a little bit, and you'll kind of have to forgive me if for some reason I get a little bit deep, thought-provoked, emotional, however you want to put it. I'm kind of putting my guard down here for the sense of definite realism. One of the things about this show is that, Danny and I come from two totally different demographics. And, while, Danny is still single, not for long, but, I've got a couple kids. I've been married for 20 some odd years. And so we have been partnering with Give Kids the World for the past few years, raising money for them as best as we can. And this year we've raised more money for them so far than we ever have. And we actually are continuing to do so throughout the year, not just making it, a marathon show type of thing. We're really trying to help them any way that we can to the best of our ability. And so we work with Steve Amos out there, and we've gotten to know him very well over the past several years. And he is just absolutely fabulous to work with in a sense of communication and telling us what's going on, telling us how we can help them, and so on and so forth. And when he and I talked at the Indie Disney meet, it really, the end result of that conversation was, I can't wait to actually go to the village. Now, a couple of members of our team have been there before us. Chris has been there a few times. Jess has been there once for an event. And everybody says the same thing. It's an amazing place. Here's the thing. I can tell you Walt Disney World is an amazing place to someone who's never been there. I can describe it. I can tell you what goes on. I can tell you what it means to me. It really wasn't significant, and as significant as it was until we got there in person. And Steve met us there, and he kind of took us through a tour that basically showed all the different features of the resort. And explained a lot in the sense of how Give Kids the World works. And I want to start with that for a second, because this was actually something I wasn't aware until he described it very, very well. And if Steve, if you're listening, and if I get any of this wrong, let me know. Best way to describe it is this. You have an organization such as, but not limited to, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And there are like 150 some different organizations in the country, around the world, or whatever, that basically give wishes to, kids / families for varying reasons. It's not just, it's not just for kids who have a terminal disease. It's those that are, that have chronic / critical illnesses. And he elaborated on how, any one of these organizations can basically use Give Kids the World as kind of a, what was the term that he used, Danny? It was more of a fulfillment center.
Yes.
That's what it was, a fulfillment organization. So like if a young person had a wish to go to Walt Disney World and was through Make-A-Wish, and that person's wish came up, so to speak, they would call Give Kids the World and arrange for that wish to happen. And from there, Give Kids the World takes care of everything. And every child there pretty much gets the same package, so to speak, when it comes to their wishes, which includes Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, etc. And they could do other things as well, but there's a basic package, so to speak, of different offerings. From the moment they land at Orlando International Airport, they are greeted by somebody who is a volunteer for Give Kids the World. Give Kids the World actually has an office in Orlando International Airport. They are waiting at the luggage carousel with a cart, and they will take them to their rental car. And that basically they will get, obviously directions and everything to get to the village, which they are checked in. They are able to go to these awesome villas. They are basically duplexes that are all throughout the neighborhood, so to speak. And they are gorgeous. They are beautifully themed. Like there was a section that we went to where I felt that we were in a community village based upon like medieval times almost, but a lot happier looking. I guess is the I'm talking about. They have different things that you can do there. Everything from multiple accessible types of pools. They have playgrounds that are accessible to children, even in wheelchairs, and of children of all sizes and ages, so to speak. The thing of it is that, they take it down to the point where they have a cafe where obviously it's where they serve their meals. But if for some reason, your child is taken ill and can't necessarily make it, they actually will bring a little truck to your villa in order for you to pick and choose what you would like to have for a meal. They try to do everything they can to make the stay magical without any worry and without any concerns. Just to kind of also cover a couple things, Laura is asking, is it kids with just cancer or all diseases? It's not just cancer or diseases, so to speak. It could be disabilities and other sorts like that. Again, there's just a number of organizations that grant wishes, and they help fulfill those particular wishes and desires. Are they all ground floors and multiple stories buildings? If I'm not mistaken, the main living areas are all ground floor. I don't recall him saying anything about a second floor, even though it looks like it. As I think he said there's a lot of attic space.
There's a lot of attic space.
Yeah. And that's mainly because they do decorate the villas during the holidays and everything else like that. Alex also just chimes in and says a lot of volunteers are from Orlando from the hospitality industry as well. And so here's the thought process that I had, and this is where I'm going to have a problem saying this. The families that go and have these wishes granted, Steve kind of described it very interestingly. These are families that would never be able to afford to take their kids on vacation like this, given the situation that they're in, whether it be because of time, the amount of attention that their kids need for whatever reason, the money that obviously goes into caring for a child that has, all sorts of different types of special needs, medically or otherwise. These people can be from all sorts of walks of life. And this is their chance to basically have a vacation.
Yeah.
I stopped and I'm going to say this, and please, I hope everybody understands. I understand where my heart is right now, because I'm actually holding this back a little bit. My wife and I talked about this afterwards, talked about it once I got home. And I don't mean, I hope everybody knows what I mean to this. I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I have kids that, in a way that I don't have to partake in that.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Yeah,
these families, really, they sacrifice everything for their kids. They sacrifice everything for their family. We talk about us sacrificing for our families and things like that, so we can go on a Walt Disney World vacation. I never realized that. It opened my eyes dramatically to the idea of where these families have been in their lives, so to speak, to get to that point. And it's eye-opening. And I appreciate everything that Steve was able to tell us about it, because it gives me more passion for us doing what we do, because we've always tried to do our best to raise money for the cause and for their mission. This makes me want to do it even more, because I know that it just brings joy into into people's lives.
Yeah.
So I need to pause here, Danny. Why don't you continue for a second?
So everything is 100% donated, even down to the cafeteria. But the way they do it is there is no corporate sponsors allowed. So when you walk in there is 3 little spots, different food places, like almost up like a cafeteria, and they all have their own unique names. But what you don't realize is one of them is a Perkins, one of them is a local pizzeria, and one of them is a Boston Market. And they all wear Give Kids the World stuff, but they're paid by Boston Market, they're paid by Perkins, it's all their products, it's all their terminals and everything like that. So they are getting good quality food, and it shows that these corporations are doing this, not collecting any money from it, and don't even get to advertise. So that just goes to show you that these people are doing this out of the goodness of their heart. Perkins was sold a few years back, and they were telling us that when Perkins sold, there was a stipulation that they had to keep a certain amount going towards Give Kids the World. And they donate to a lot of charities, but the only charity that was listed on the sale was Give Kids the World. A place that took your breath away, no matter how cold-hearted of a human being you can be. You could have been the most cold-hearted person in the world, and if you did not walk into this next place and kind of just be taken back, is absurd. So they actually just had to expand the building, and they're still running out of room for this building. So I hope they figure out a way to do something about it. But right when you walk by this carousel, and there's this giant, and right behind the carousel is a tree, and the tree snores all day, and it will scare you if you're not paying attention. But
Yeah.
you go inside this building, and you walk into this little foyer, and they have a king and queen's throne, and they do little skits in there, and then you walk around there and they tell you a little fairy tale, and they have a tree, and inside that tree is a gift for the kids. Now the kids get lots of gifts while they're there, not only going to the parks. They, every Thursday is Christmas, and they all get presents. I mean, they give out a lot of gifts.
Every day is a different holiday that they celebrate.
I think he said they had Harborough is one of the toy companies there, and they have a warehouse. Hasbro.
Yeah.
Hasbro, and they have a giant warehouse that is fully stocked with toys. But anyway, so they kind of get a little bit of information from the parents, and while they're doing this little skit with this tree on this monitor, the monitor will start asking the kids what they want, and it's all programmed so they know the kids' names, and basically like Turtle Crush or
Turtle
Talk, yeah, with Crush, very similar to that. And when they say, okay, time to open up the tree trunk, and they open up the tree trunk, and it was a gift that they really wanted. So it made it seem like it was real for the kids, which was astonishing. And then you move into the heartwarming section, because you start to look up at the ceiling and you see all these stars. And we got to go into this private room, and there was all these stars. And then we went to this other room, and there were stars lined the entire circle and up to the top of the ceiling. Yeah. And you find out that for every child that has ever been there, they get a star with their name on it. And it is something to represent that even when they pass on from this life, that their legacy will not be forgotten. And so they all get to write their name on the star. They go up, and they have a big telescope to make the kids think that, like, look, that's where your star is, and they can locate it and everything. But the cool thing is they never take the stars down. The stars will stay up there till the day that place closes its doors, which will be never. And even after the children pass, the parents are allowed to come back and to find their star. And they'll actually move the star down so you can locate it a little bit better, as long as you give them a head's notice. But the idea of having these stars with all these kids' names, you don't realize, by me telling you the story, I'm sure it'll tear some people up. Walking in there and seeing the amount of stars and putting it into perspective of a majority of these children did not make it, and the fact of how many kids are troubled with an illness and unlucky to have that illness. But the biggest thing is seeing what Give Kids the World gives to these kids. Not only keeping their legacy continuing, but the idea of they have the amount of families that even if it was for a week, it changed their life. You gave a glimmer of hope to somebody who didn't really have light in their life. And even if it was for a moment, isn't it better to give that moment than never? And they had this, moving into another building, this giant train set up. And there's all these toys in these like cabinets. And, I was like, wow, they don't lock their cabinets. He's like, no, all our toys, you can play with them. You can grab them, you can move them, you can do whatever you want with them. The whole idea is, this is mine, this is yours, we all share. Nothing is off limits. And then moving on to the second saddest thing that I saw was inside the cafeteria, where the seating area was. They had all these glass cases, and this is the only things you can't touch, and it's all stuffed animals. And it all started with a stuffed animal that a kid brought with him, and he loved it. And when he went home, he ended up passing away. But before he passed away, he wrote a little note on the teddy bear, and they sent it back, and basically saying like he didn't want anybody to ever forget him. That was his wish. He didn't care about Disney. He didn't care about any of that. He didn't want to be forgotten. And then it kind of snowballed into every kids were always giving back their stuffed animals, and it became like I don't want to call it a shrine, but a memorial almost. I can go into even some corny details, like the miniature golf course was awesome. They actually have an actual dinosaur that was used in the Jurassic Park film there. They have really, really cool stuff going on, but it is the work that they do is absolutely breathtaking. To the point of where, like, I wish I literally, and this is a God honest truth. It is not me trying to sell you a load of nonsense. I literally was sitting in my truck today thinking about, man, if I won the lottery, I can have this type of wedding, and I can do this, and I can do that. And I literally thought in my head, like, man, think about the amount of things I can buy for Give Kids the World. And, I've been around a lot of foundations and a lot of, not saying that, there's a lot of great foundations out there, but this one really has become more than just someone we want to donate our money to, more than a partnership. This has literally become like a second home that we want to give back to, because they do such amazing things.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I never thought this place was going to have such an impact on me. I never thought that this place was going to basically change the way I think about what we do for them. Yes, we've always had very positive vibes in the sense of trying to, raise money for their mission, etc. And like I've said before, and I'll say it again, we don't push our merch. We don't. We would rather have you guys donate it, because we do have awesome corporate sponsors between Kingdom Strollers and Expedition Roasters. And we're so thankful for them, because their ability to help us pay the bills for our podcast costs allow us to, do what we can to make the world a better place for these families. That, I think, clicked so hard on the flight home for me. Because Danny and I both ended up going to the airport right after our time at Give Kids the World. And I don't know about you, Danny, but that was it. There were different things that we kept on thinking about what we can do. I know that our admin team has some great ideas. Some of our other listeners through some of the other shows have had some great ideas. We can't do them all at one time, but I'm so glad we've got some great ideas type of thing. So that's just something to say. We left there with smiles on our faces and our hearts warmed. And, we had a long lunch with Steve to talk about different things. And in that conversation, which, by the way, lunch was very good.
It was delicious.
It was very good. Time went by very fast to hearing those different stories, but also hearing what we can do and how they can help us help them, and the different things that basically it was not conveyed this in these words, but it doesn't matter if someone gives $5 or $5 million. It doesn't matter if we raise $3,000 or $30,000. The fact of the matter is that every dollar that we are able to help them raise helps put a smile on a child's face. It doesn't matter. So, and the thing is, we know that there are a lot of people in the Disney community that are trying to do the same thing for Give Kids the World. And without any reservation, we applaud them. Absolutely 100%. In fact, we would love to be able to partner with some of those people that are also doing it and to be a part of it, to share that and to share our audiences to help, do things for those causes. But it was so cool to hear that and to know that we make a difference together as a community revolving around the show. And I know we've always talked about us being one big gigantic community in general, and I think this takes it to very much the next level. So
I would agree.
Danny, I have to admit, I think that the next time we go out there, it would be cool if we can do something even better for the village while we're out there. We'll have to see what we can do. But I know that the next couple of years planning, it's going to be some fun because I know you've got some things you've got to plan for. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody was asking for it in the beginning of the show, so I will do it quickly before Chris presses his button. First off, Lindsay and myself would want to thank everybody for reaching out, all the love. Honestly, between like 2 posts, we had like over 1,000 likes and comments. So absolutely awesome, the outreach that we got from you guys. We do appreciate all the love. I know a lot of people asking me if there's going to be a Disney wedding in the future. It's on the table. It's not high up there on the table, but it is on the table. It's not out of the question. So everyone, obviously, if you haven't figured out what I did, I got engaged over the weekend, so there was that. People wanted to know how I did it. So this was a few months in the planning. It started with obviously me telling my parents, and which then led to my mom taking Lindsay out to go buy mirrors for the house. So while she was out, I was able to sneak over to her parents and obviously ask for their blessing and their permission.
Did it right.
Which I was granted. And they paid me, handsomely to get rid of her. No, just kidding. I know she's in the other room just waiting to yell at me.
Yeah, that 15-second delay is
it's coming. So then came, searching for, a venue to go do this and a ring. I was lucky enough to have a diamond from my grandmother when she passed away. And I found, a ring. Well, she found a ring a while back, and she had kind of, dropped a couple hints that this is the ring she really wanted. So I had done my research, going to look at other places, decided I was going to go buy, this ring. Where was she? Where was she that she was? Oh, she was just at home, and I had to go get blood work done. And I legitimately had to get blood work done. But right after my blood work, I was like, I have another doctor's appointment. So I call her and I was like, hey, I got to go to the doctor's. I really didn't. So I got in touch with my sister, my mom, and her mom, and we went to go buy the ring. Lo and behold, we always go down to, what's it called? Smithville. Historical Smithville for the Smithville the Oktoberfest. So I was like, okay, all our families are going to be there. This is the perfect time to do it. I will tell you that my anxiety was through the roof from like 3 days before, but truly hit an all-time high Saturday morning when I did this. I was messaging the group of admins and I was literally dying, and my best friend was there and I was like hiding behind him, like basically breathing into a paper bag. I was like, this is horrendous. So I finally found the spot, and I had thrown so many smoke screens, you people have no idea. Going from the length of telling her maybe we'll get married, I don't know, to yeah, it'll happen by the end of the year, to the point of that morning being like, yeah, I mean, we're basically married. I just tried
Oh
to
my
throw.
God. You must have drove that poor woman out of her mind.
Yeah, I literally drove her crazy.
Oh.
She was ready to kill me. And then all day she was getting upset with me because I kept walking away from her while we were shopping and everything. She didn't realize what I was doing. I was setting up a room, making sure the decorations were there, the flowers and everything like that. So we made our way to the covered bridge and we took a big family photo. And all day I started putting this out into the universe so other people would hear it in my group. And, obviously everybody knew that I wanted to do like a photo shoot for Behind the Ears podcast about jumping over her. I wanted to jump into the new year. So I was going to leapfrog her. And she was like, we're not doing this. And I was like, don't worry about it. You're fine. So I had her back turned to me. And you hear everybody in the video telling her, like, calm down. It's going to be fine. And then I tell her, oh, okay, forget it. I'm not going to do it. And when she turned around, I was down on one knee. And, obviously I asked her to marry me. She, for whatever reason, said yes. Still, we're all still trying to question why she said yes, but she agreed to marry me. And that's where we went out to I rented a private dining room and we went out for a big family dinner, 14 of us. And now we are wedding planning. So the fun part has begun.
We're all really happy for you. We are really happy for you guys.
I appreciate it. We're excited.
And the funny part is, and Lindsay, I know you're listening. We were all really excited for all of you for all this time, and it kept everything in our power to not say anything anywhere that you could have seen this or heard it or read it or whatever. This guy planned out so much. And it was one of those things. Could I say what you and I did before we went into the Magic Kingdom?
Yeah.
Okay. So Danny's like, we're going to go to the Magic Kingdom, but first we have to go to the wedding chapel. And I'm like, whoa, Danny, wait a second. No, just kidding. And it was really kind of funny because we go in there and it's Frank's wedding chapel. And if you're not familiar, kind of, if I'm not mistaken, it goes off of the movie. Oh crap, Steve Martin. Why can't I remember it, Danny?
I don't know what you're talking about. So
there's a movie that has Frank as the wedding planner. It's a movie with Steve Martin. Father of the Bride.
Okay.
There you go. Great movie, by the way. You got to see it. And if you don't see it, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. And so we go in there. And of course, Danny knows exactly what he wants. And he's talking with the person behind the counter, one of the wedding planners. And he's getting information. I'm walking around thinking to myself, man, I need a knife so I could cut into some of these cakes to see what they're really like. And they're just absolutely gorgeous. And everything's just like, oh, picture perfectly beautiful. I mean, seriously, if you want to get married at Disney, or at least even think about it, you got to stop at Frank's wedding chapel or wedding planner, whatever it is, bridal center, whatever. I don't know. And then we went into the wedding chapel itself. And that was really, really sweet. I've never been in, and it's cool. It really, really is cool. So yeah, it was really kind of interesting. I think to myself, dude, you're gonna drive yourself nuts now over wedding planning just because you've seen all of this now.
Yep.
So, but no, I just think it is so super cool that you are getting hitched. That's right.
Yeah.
As a guy who's been married, huh?
My wallet's gonna hurt.
That's what I've been married for 20 some odd years. It doesn't get better. No, I'm just kidding. Because you're gonna listen. You guys are gonna get married, and you guys are gonna have your ups and downs, your lefts and rights. But the best thing of all is, no matter what, you will have each other. And Lindsay is a great gal. I can't wait to get to know her even better. And you know what? What can I say? You've got good taste. She's got good taste.
I was gonna say she's got good taste.
No, so all I gotta say is that I guess we're gonna have to figure out how to live stream this to millions of people across the country and around the world. Danny is registered at Home Depot. So he'll take wedding gifts in form of Home Depot gift cards.
You know, you can register on Amazon. I was like, oh, this is dangerous.
Yeah, it's really oh wait, hold on a second. Lindsay has to chime in here. She says, I did not agree. I was telling him how stupid it was and he was going to knock me over. Oh, this is the leapfrogging.
Yeah.
And everyone started to tell me not to be a Debbie Downer, to turn around. I turned around and on peer pressure only. Oh, that's funny. So but you know, so yeah, Steven says, hey, welcome to the institution. Oh, wrong button. There it is. There you go. Welcome to the institution. So, but yeah, you guys, hey, I'm sure you're going to get thousands of people telling you guys what to do for your wedding. Don't listen to any of them. Do what you guys want. You guys know what you want. And if you just want some guy to stand up in there and say, you want her? Yeah, you got her. Do you want him? Yeah, you got him. Okay, you're married. Hey, listen, you do that. If you want the 3-hour eulogy, so to speak, you can do that too. You know, you want to have the doves flying in the air or the white swans waiting in the lake or something. You want the purple tuxedo? Go right ahead. It's your wedding.
I will tell everybody one little sneak peek, and this will be the only sneak peek I give.
What's that?
There will be a very small touch of Disney into the wedding. There's a lot of things that I have in my brain and me and Lindsay have discussed that will be done that we will not tell anybody about until the day of, because it's just some special things we want to do for people. But the one thing that I will say, the theming, very subtle. It's not going to be all over. It's just going to be certain little things. It's going to be up. Because we always say that, you know, where I'm her greatest adventure, or she's my greatest adventure. So that is going to be the one little Disney thing that I give up right now, and that's going to be there's going to be a little form of up somewhere in this wedding.
Wait, are you going to serve grape soda?
No, I don't like grape soda.
Well, that's part of okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's great, but I said a little bit of up, not the whole thing. I have been in search for the chairs. Cannot find them.
The chairs.
He sits in that little leather chair and she sits in that high back flower chair.
Dude, all you got to hit is any Goodwill or Salvation.
Somebody will have them.
One of those things. Well, Danny, once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And Lindsay, congratulations to you as well. Of course, you have a whole community behind you. If you have any thoughts about asking for advice, don't do it, or don't ask for advice, because you're going to get 5,000 people telling you what you should do. Just have a great time enjoying, planning it out. It's as simple as that. All right. Anything else?
Take us away.
All righty. You heard the show, and we hope you want more. Well, feel free to join us over at our social media platforms. Instagram and our Facebook page can be found at Behind the Ears Podcast. Our webpage is behindtheearspodcast.net, and our email is behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @BehindTheEarsPC. And come and join the conversation about all things Disney over at the WDW community page. Don't forget to rate and review the show over at iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us get the word out about the show. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or the Podbean app. Also, you can listen to us on Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and via Alexa and Google Home.
With that being said, everybody, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. Once again, you can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Facebook and or YouTube. You can catch all our podcasts anywhere that a podcast is caught. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Any listener questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. Trisha would kill me if I didn't mention this. Please join the WDW community Facebook page. And with that being said, once again, Lindsay, and myself, thank you all so much for all the love and support you guys have given us. Thanks for tuning in to another show. Don't forget, tuck your kids in tight, wear your seatbelts, and kids, clean up your room. Your parents don't want to do it anymore. I'm Uncle Danny. Till next time.
As a parent, I approve that message. Hey, everybody, thanks a lot for joining us. Like Danny said, by all means, follow us on all of our social media. It really helps us out. Give us go ahead and give us a like or review over at Apple Podcasts, over at Google Podcasts as well. So I'll tell you what, this has been a great time together. Thank you for all your interaction. Thank you for making us making this a great Monday or Tuesday. Gosh, I don't even know what day it is. It's been just such a long week already. But by all means, until we meet again, whenever that might be, we hope everybody has an absolutely magical day. Take care.
Toodles.